Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kiki Lovelace, and I am the owner and founder and director of education at Interstellar Pilates and Yoga Studio here in Berkeley, California. And I'm also the founder and business growth mentor at the Thriving Studio Owner Program. I have been for 3+ years now working with my fellow Pilates and yoga studio owners and solopreneurs on building their businesses, on doubling or tripling their revenues, working 20 hours per week or less. And today I have an amazing guest. I want to talk about her for a second, then I'll bring her on. So her name is Jenny Klein, and she came to me as what I like to call a baby studio owner. Not a baby in her life. Like, she's been living some life, this person, but definitely a newer studio owner. I think, and Jenny, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong in a minute, she was like 4 months into small business ownership when we started working together just before the pandemic hit. And wow, it's been a ride for Jenny and all other, baby business owners these last 8-9 months or so. The first year of business ownership is always really intense for every entrepreneur on the planet. But then Jenny had to deal with the pandemic, and so Jenny continued to work with me. She took a little break after she finished the 12-week program and then came back in the alumni program. And what we're really going to be talking about today is mindset and entrepreneur mindset, money mindset, which is kind of a big thing in our industry. Like, Pilates and yoga people do not necessarily have a good relationship with money, at least when they first start working with me, or do not necessarily have the correct mindset for what it takes to actually grow a business, what I call entrepreneur mindset. And so I'm very excited to bring into the broadcast Miss Jenny Klein. Here's Jenny.
Hi.
Yes, the owner of Movement Yoga and a wonderful human being, a mama to a little one, and wicked smart, badass female, amazing human that I love hanging out with. So just welcome to you, Jenny. Yes, I'm so glad you're here.
I feel the same way about you, Kiki.
I know, it's mutual. So so we're going to be talking about money mindset, entrepreneur mindset. And I just was thinking about you this morning as I was preparing for this conversation. I was thinking, it actually says a lot about you that you even thought to invest in a business coach like 4 months into business ownership, because so many people in our industry and just small business owners in general, run a lot of stories that they should be able to figure it out themselves, or that they don't have enough money to invest in business coach. So they're going to just wait another fucking 5 years to figure it out themselves in total poverty. It's like we have a lot of kind of twisted up things. So can you just bring us back? I think you joined and started working with me. Was it in February or January? It was
I think it was right. Yeah. About a month before the pandemic.
So tell us what was in your head at that point? You were 4 months in, you were still just finding your feet, as we all are for the first 1 to 3 years, really.
Right.
But what made you decide that you wanted to make an investment in business coaching?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I thought that I didn't realize how challenging business ownership would be. And I knew it would be hard, right? I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be a big challenge, but I thought, I'm smart. I can handle this. And then as I got into it, and this was before the pandemic even, so thank God I found you before that happened, because I don't know if I would have made it through the pandemic without our course and without having that community with other studio owners. But I think it was in January, February, I'd been open for 3 months, and I was just I know that I can make this work. I just know that there's better systems out there and better ways to do this, because I felt very overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that I was doing on my own. And just, I really decided that I needed help, and I needed someone who'd been there before to guide me through it. And so, I think I don't even remember how I found you. Was it maybe Facebook or something? I don't even know. And then I was like, I'll do the call. And then as soon as we talked about it, I was like, I'm in.
I know, that's kind of amazing, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like, it's really remarkable, and it says a lot about you. And I think we need to tell the people's, like, what you were doing beforehand, because you actually had a lucrative government job,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And like, so you were like used to making some monies and like supporting your family and really being a contributor financially. And for you, it wasn't an option to just have a business that was gonna be, I mean, you had told me like you kind of had a mindset of like, oh, this is my passion project, but something shifted for you where you were like, no, this is going to pay me money in trading for my life force and for my passion and for my commitment to this community. So can you talk to us about like how that shifted for you and how you got serious about that, and then what happened when you did?
Yeah. So, when I first started the studio, I thought that I might be able to keep my job for at least a year. My plan was like, okay, I'll see how things are going when I've been open for a year. That was my goal, to like be profitable by that time and to be able to leave my job at that time. But the more and more I got into the studio, the more I realized how much I loved doing all of the work. And like through your course, like I realized that I loved doing the marketing. I love to write, and things I thought before that I was like no good at, and that I wasn't going to enjoy. I enjoyed all of it, and I wanted to spend more time doing it. And then with the pandemic and everything, I was working still at my full-time job from home. My son was home because his daycare was closed. My husband was at home too. And so it was really, really hectic when that was going on. And I just came to the conclusion that like my energy was spread so thin. My son is the most important thing to me. My family is the most important thing. And then the studio came second and my job came third. And I just recognize that even if the money wasn't like there at the same level as my old job yet, that it was because I wasn't putting the same energy, like enough energy into it. And so I just said, if I want to make this work, I have to do this. So quit my job in July, and it's been great. I mean, and as far as like energy levels and like physically and mentally and spiritually, I'm feeling 100 times better than I was when I was trying to like stretch myself across all of the things.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I remember that. Like, I remember that you had told me when we first started working together, I want to quit my job by May. So that was like a thing. Then the pandemic hit and you were like, okay, let me just have it a couple more months and like figure out, what to do. Yeah. But I remember talking to you in the summer, and it was like a really big soul choice for you to go, no, F this. I'm going to be all in on this small business. And, you sort of strengthened what I have a new phrase for this. It's like a 10K plus mindset. It's like you sort of strengthen it. You're like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make money doing this. And I know I'm going to have to put in the time and put in the energy and the work, but that's why I'm going to quit my job so that I can actually do that without sacrificing time with my son, and with my family. So yeah, I just remember that. Can you speak at all to like, as the freak out you were probably having inside when you were really getting serious about quitting that job? Like, how did you talk yourself through that?
For me, it was mostly just I was so used to having the salary and the same every month, like the amount of money that I was used to making. And I just kind of looked at like the reality of it. I said, if this is the thing that's holding me back, I can always go back to a job like that later. There's nothing stopping me from that if I ever wanted to. But I looked at the reality of it. I looked at my budget. I ran the numbers. I said, how long can we do this at the level that we're running the studio now? How much money would we need to like make it, get us to a point where it's supporting itself. And so I just, using those like concrete numbers really helped me to just look at it and say, yeah, it is possible. Like, it's going to be hard, but we can still pay for the necessities. We can still, do what we need to do. We're just going to be living a little bit tighter. And my husband was really supportive as well. Like he said, you know, when you got into this business, we knew it was going to be hard. Like I'm in it 100% with you. So let's just do it.
Bless his heart. Thank you, husband. Because I have to say, like, a lot of people who aren't entrepreneurs have, and I don't mean this as like a criticism, it's just an employee mindset. You know, an employee mindset is different than an entrepreneur mindset. And you have an entrepreneur mindset, which is, I'm all in. I'm willing to take the risk. I know this is going to take a lot out of me. I know we might need to like tighten up the budget for a while, but I'm in. Let's go. Let's do this. And there's a certain risk tolerance that an entrepreneur has to have. Plus what you said before, which is like, there's also a little bit of a naivete that needs to happen in the very beginning where you think, oh, this is going to be so great. Because if anyone knew what they were getting into when they opened a small business or became an entrepreneur, they would never do it. So I love that like you had that, but I actually really appreciate that your husband sort of had that sense of like, I know what I'm into. Let's go. Let's do it.
Right. And he didn't know the specifics. Like he doesn't get into the specifics of the business with me, but so he kind of just trusts me a lot, which is great. Sometimes I'm like, oh, are you sure? But he totally, you know, he was like, you started this, you can't quit, you know, you can't quit now. You got to keep going. So I was like, you know, I got into this because I have a dream of impacting people's lives through yoga, and I am not going to give that up. Like just because there's a little pandemic, no, I'm not gonna let that ruin my dream.
Okay, I need to highlight this. I need to lift this up because this is another aspect of successful entrepreneur mindset is it doesn't matter what is happening in the world. It does not matter what is happening out there. I'm going to do this. And it is me. I am going to do this. I'm going to create this. And the truth is, I know we're all dealing with the global pandemic, which is insane, but the first year of business ownership is insane any way you slice it, you know, so we all have a million times. And for me, it wasn't even 1 year. It was like 3 years where I wanted to quit all the time, where I had the thought of, I don't know if I can do this, you know, where I would move money around and be like, shit, how am I going to pay for payroll? You know? And it's just, so yes, I just think that's so amazing that you have, I mean, you're just a natural entrepreneur, Jenny, like whether you know it or not, you have entrepreneur DNA because you have these thoughts just in and of yourself, you know, of like, yeah, this is what I need to do. And this is what I want to do. So actually you're talking about your husband. I don't know if he knew he was going to be the star of the show, but so there was another point where we were talking together because you also enrolled in my alumni program. And we did a lot of mindset work in that, a lot of like allying with money and really with your dreams for money, a lot of ancestral work that we were clearing. That was super powerful, I remember. And we were also talking a lot about like financially, like what's it going to take for y'all's to make it? You know, what do you need to invest in this besides your time and your energy? But like, and so I remember having a conversation with you about working capital and just about, I was just normalizing. I was like, yeah, of course you need working capital. Like everyone who starts a lucrative business, not a scrape by business, a lucrative business needs working capital. You need to be able to, in the first few years, you'll need to have a loan or have some sort of bit of money to be able to pay for the things where the money is not yet coming in. This is just what it is for most businesses, you know, especially brick and mortar businesses. And I remember, you know, that was just so spooky, you know, because all of us are trained to think of debt as like terrible, right? And we think we should be able to come up with the money ourselves. So talk to us about what shifted in your head about needing working capital and normalizing working capital. And then we could talk about how you went around getting it.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to what you said, that naivete in the beginning of I was very optimistic. I didn't realize how much it would take. I drastically underestimated how much money I would need. And then on a pandemic on top of that, obviously like really altered my my revenues and how much money I needed. And, at the time I had this other job that paid me really well, and I could put a significant amount from that job away and use it for the studio if needed. So for a while, I was just like, all of this money that my husband and I would have put away for like savings or vacations was just going into the studio. But then when I decided I needed to quit my job, I was like, I'm going to need to get a loan. Like I need more money to make sure that the studio is going to like be able to support itself. And I didn't want to be pulling from our savings anymore. I was just like, I am done pulling from our personal finances. We've put enough money. I have enough equity in this business. And, I looked at the numbers of like what our revenues were and what made much more, I think now, like reasonable and accurate projections for like the following 6 months to a year. And, based on our expenses, and just said, this is how much I need. And then, I told my husband, I'll figure it out. I'm going to figure out how we're going to get this money because we need some money. And I remember when I talked to the bank in the beginning, like before I started my business, and they were like, how much money do you need? And I told them this very low number, and they were like, oh yeah, we don't even do business loans for that small of an amount.
They're like, you need more than that, actually.
Well, and that should have been a sign to me that I needed more money, but I didn't at the time when I started. I didn't use a lot of money to start because I just did everything as DIY as we could and as low cost as we could. And I taught most of the classes, so it was like very bare bones expenses. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I got to a point where I realized I needed, I enjoyed doing coaching, and I didn't want to have to, give up getting help from people that I needed to get help from. Like I knew I wanted to have someone help me with, like my marketing and stuff like that. Have someone like get with posting and doing some of those things.
So like a marketing assistant type person.
Yeah. Doing some of that work for me, the stuff that wasn't as exciting and fun. And be able to hire more teachers to teach a few more classes, so I'm not teaching so much. And so I kind of thought of all of that when I was thinking like I can't just be running this bare bones studio expenses and expect to have like really good results and grow to the place where I want to be. So
yes, exactly. So I just want to say that out loud for the audience. There's several people watching right now, is like, yes, like at a certain point, like, we all work really hard in those first like few years, especially if a brick and mortar, online businesses actually are much easier to create and scale, but brick and mortar, there's like a lot going on, and so we all work so much to do that. And yeah, I think I think we all come into it a little delusional. It takes a little while. You're right on time, Jenny. It's like, it just takes a little while to figure out what you've actually gotten yourself into. But the truth is, if you want to make a lucrative business, you can't do it all yourself, because there becomes a ceiling of how much you can do, and then you can't do anymore, And so I'm so glad that even before you hit that, you realize, oh, I'm going to need some team members. Let me just be in my zone of creativity and excitement and joy and like do the things I really love, and just hire out some other folks to do the other things. Like that's entrepreneur mindset. That's what I'm talking about, is like you're making an investment in getting the support you need so that you don't have to do it all yourself. That will help you grow your business, and yes, absolutely. And so how has it felt to have a couple team members or a few different team members to support you?
It's been good. I mean, I still am not at the point where I'm ready to hire someone like an employee yet. I saw Mona's post and I'm like, good for you. I was so proud. Like hiring your first employee sounds like the hardest thing ever. And I know that's a ways out for me, but still a goal. But it's felt good to like get help and get some support. And it's a little bit hard for me sometimes because I'm kind of a control freak and I like to control everything. Like I like to have my hands in all the things, and I'm used to doing it all myself. So, and doing it my way. And of course, the people who I hire know better than me, right? Like that's what they do. And so it takes a little bit for me to like let go and just trust that what they've put together is right. But it's also freeing because then I'm not spending all that extra time thinking about it. And it's definitely freed me up. I mean, between quitting my job and having some extra help with some of that stuff, it's freed my like brain power up a ton to think of some ways, to grow the studio
and
and
new revenue streams and, new offerings. Yeah.
make it better. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And like, welcome to the world of business ownership, like discovering that you're a control freak and figuring out how to play well with others. Like that to me that's actually been like one of the more spiritually healing aspects for me of being a business owner, is like learning how to mend my hyper vigilance, and control freakiness, and also like how to really accept support from others and let others shine in their zones of genius and not have to have my hands in every single pot, so
Right.
yeah, I love that you're learning that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to realize that, this is just like what my thought process has been, is why am I paying someone else to do it if I'm going to think about it anyways? Then it's pointless. So if I'm paying them, I need to like push it away, let it go, let them handle it, and it'll all be all right.
Oh, you're such a brave one. You're so brave. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. So, you got to this point, and you had quit your job. You got to this point, we're still in this pandemic. You knew you needed a little more working capital to continue to grow the business to, this 10K plus salary that is what you're holding steady. You're holding the flame for this. And so you realize like, I need some extra cash right now. And so like every great entrepreneur, you got super creative and very resourceful, because all of us at some point or another need about 15K or 20K more. We just do, and so you just have to go, what is possible here, And so can you tell us about the conversation you had with your husband when you figured out what you needed to call in?
So I actually, back when I had talked to the bank before I opened, they had told me, here, like, you can't get a loan for that small of an amount. It's either going to have to be a personal loan, or, hey, you could refinance your house and take out cash when you do that. And at the time, it didn't make sense. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense. My husband was kind of like, but in the timing, when we did it just like a month ago, it made a ton of sense, because I looked back into it and I was like, oh my God, what the rates are so low, outrageously low. And it actually worked out that when we did the appraisal, our house appraised for more money. So it was kind of like this weird thing that it ended up being really, 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 really great for us. But, I approached my husband and I said, hey, this is a way to get money, and I'm going to figure out the details, and then I'll, bring back a proposal to you, essentially, with like more information. So I told him first that I was going to do it, but I went and talked to the bank and to the loan officer, and like, we had a great conversation. He gave me great news about the loan rates and how much money we could take out and how that would impact our monthly payments, which actually go down now. So
you're paying, so can I say, like, you're paying $500 less per month. Is that correct?
Yeah.
On your mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. Can we just say that? Like, that's
it's
like very But you also were able to take a little bit out, right? And this was only a 4-year-old mortgage. So it wasn't like you were committing to like 18 more years.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It only extends it by another 4 years. So
by another 4 years. Yeah.
We'll probably sell it for that time. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. And so you were able to get 15K, right? Yep. As working capital for your business.
Mm-hmm. And also, and save money in our like monthly bills. So
that was just like so creative and such a winning situation. Like, it's just, wow, like amazing.
Yeah. And I know the other day I was like, I manifested $15,000. Like, I've never been, super into the concept of manifestation, but I was like, nope, that's what happened.
That's literally what happened. I know. That is what happened. I know you always like to say you're not woo, but there's a little piece of you that is. Yeah. Okay. So one last thing, like, what has shifted for you since we started working together in terms of your money mindset? We've been talking about entrepreneur, like being willing to invest, like not being afraid to have working capital, to manifesting 15K with 5K, 500 less per month, which is, by the way, like $6,000 a year. So like, what the heck is going on in your brain that is different, or your energy that is different about money than it was, say, a year ago?
Yeah. I think I really didn't think I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself as a studio owner at the time. And I think that working with you, working through the program and absorbing all that information, and then the alumni program, just having more of those conversations with you, where we unearthed some of this stuff, it made me realize that like, I do kind of know what I'm doing. And that I should be confident in myself, and that I needed to be willing to take a chance on myself. Like that was the biggest thing. Like obviously I took a risk when I started the business, but it was more of like, okay, I'm going to bet on me now. And I know it's going to work out, and I'm going to make it work out. It was just that commitment, of like, I'm going to make it work. I know that like I needed to quit my job because that was keeping me like in my safe zone with money, like where I had this money coming in. And so why would I put more energy into making money through the studio when I didn't need that? So I just had to like cut it off. Cut that source off and create my own source of money.
Yeah. That's actually kind of an important piece of becoming a successful entrepreneur, is there needs to be no plan B. If there's a plan B, you'll never do what it takes to actually make your business successful and lucrative. Mm-hmm. So as you took away plan B, yeah, you were like, I'm taking it out. The plan B is gone.
Yeah, no, like, I remember hearing you say that a bunch of times. And the more I read and learned about people who are successful entrepreneurs, I really did see that as like a common thread where they put it all out on the line. And so I just realized that I had to do that as well.
So terrifying. This is why small business entrepreneurship is not for everyone, because it requires an incredible amount of courage and heart. And what you just talked about a moment ago, which is self-belief. Like you have to believe in your own abilities to create something out of nothing, because that's exactly what a business is. It is creating something out of nothing, out of just a seedling in your head, and then you manifest it into reality. It's a pretty crazy.
It really is. Yeah. Like I remember the first time that I realized that was when I stepped into my studio for the first time after it had been completed. And I said, oh my gosh, I made this. Like, it was such a powerful moment. And like, the more and more that I go through this, and every time like I see the smile on someone's face, or like see someone who's, posts a good review, I'm just like, yeah, that's like something I did. I almost can't believe it. But then I'm like, but of course, part of me is like, how did I do this? And then the other part of me is like, but of course, this is what you set out to do. Of course you're doing it.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. Your higher self coming online right there,
Yeah. And like you said, with you said your first 3 years, part of you wanted to quit. Like there's always part of that, but it's like, you just have to let that, your higher self, your confident side just win out. Otherwise, I've thought about that too. And mostly like early on during COVID, like, oh, well, what if I just close? Like, I don't have that much money in it, right now yet. Like I could just close and see what happens. But then I'm like, no. I'm going to be thinking, if I close this studio, I'm going to think about it every freaking day. And in a year, I'm going to be thinking about it, and I'm going to be wishing I was still doing it, and I'm going to want to do it again. So why not just keep it going?
Totally.
Like if it's your soul,
Totally.
if it's your soul's purpose, you're just gonna keep going.
Yes, I love that. Amazing. Awesome. Well, I want to share with everyone that like this is the kind of conversations I have with my upper level graduates. The alumni program that Jenny took, I will work on these mindset and energy and belief systems with my masterminders, my purpose and profits masterminders, and I'm also doing a VIP 30-day high ticket launch program right now. That's a one-on-one coaching program, and this is the stuff that makes my soul sing, is like helping someone like Jenny realize what an incredible rock star she already is, and just like uncovering all the pieces that so that Jenny can actually do what she's here to do, and really align her life with her soul's purpose. That's really what it's about. So I just want to say thank you, Jenny, for being here. And for any of y'all who are interested in working with me in some of those higher level programs, I will put my link to my calendar below. We can talk about a high ticket launch. We can talk about the mastermind or the alumni program for any of you who have already done my 12-week or who have done another business coach's sort of base level, because it's these kinds of pieces, the mindset, the energy pieces, the belief systems that make all the difference once you've got the basics down, like Jenny does, of marketing and pricing and all that stuff. So yes, Jenny, and can you share with my peoples, like where can they find you on the interwebs and on Instagram and all that stuff?
Yeah, so our Instagram and Facebook, it's at Movement Yoga DSM. And then our website is movementyogadsm.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. I just adore you.
I love chatting. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day, everybody.